Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Connor James. We begin tonight at the end of a long road home. The once lost remains of a World War II soldier finally returned. Eula Steele was from Corbin. He died in the bombings of Pearl Harbor. He was only 25 years old. It took 78 years and a team of military scientists to identify him. Those remains landed in Lexington earlier today. This is video of Steele's remains being escorted back home to Corbin from Lexington. Family members told us before that this helps bring them closure no matter how long it has been. I was in Corbin as Steele was brought back home. Small communities have a way of taking care of their own, no matter how long it's been.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, we're a very loving community. We support each other, and so I'm not a bit surprised.
Mayor Susie Rasmus and the city have been planning this homecoming for weeks.
He's flying in at 4:05.
Thursday, Eula Steele will be brought home. Some of his brothers in the service, like 97-year-old Paul Jones, who fought in World War II, watched on.
Well, it's real encouraging and enhances their privilege that we're all here.
While others remember what that war was and know the sacrifice Steele paid, others used this moment to teach not just history, but community.
I guess emotional is the easiest way to describe it. It's a little more difficult than that.
Andrew Pennington brought out his 3-year-old son Enzo.
I hope that he can understand it enough to take it with him and foster it as he gets older and understand it a little bit more.
As they and many others watched on, Steele arrived home as the sun set in Corbin.
We're able to finally let him rest in peace at home.
This weekend is Steele's funeral. You can watch the full in-depth piece on Steele and his trip home tomorrow right here on WYMT.
And it was another hot day and, of course, dry day here in the mountains. Our drought monitor was updated today. We'll go ahead and take you to that, bringing some bad news. You can see a lot of us in a severe drought and a few of us in that extreme drought that really includes almost all of Breathitt and Perry County, some of Knott and some of Magoffin as well. Today marks 36 days without rain at the National Weather Service in Jackson. We did not receive a drop today. You see that here on satellite and radar. It's been pretty quiet, but as we head into the rest of those overnight hours, we will see those clouds start to increase slightly. Cooler air is also on the way, but for now we're still on the warmer side. 83 Prestonsburg, 81 into Pikeville and Jackson, 70 down into Williamsburg, 67 if we are looking into Harlan. And over the past 10 days, 7 of those we were in the 90s. 1, that's just way too hot for this time of year. And 2, it was 7 days in a row. And all 7 of those days, we broke the 90s. And of course, we broke those record temperatures. Now for tonight, clouds, like I said, do start to increase. Upper 50s, lower 60s, becoming a little bit cooler. That cooler trend does continue into your Friday. Also tracking a few more rain chances. I'll have that and more coming up in just a few short minutes.
All right, thank you, Paige. Well, those hot temperatures contributed to a huge fire at a soybean farm in central Kentucky today. This video shows just how much smoke that blaze gave off. This all happened in Mercer County. Now, emergency crews had to shut down a state highway because of that smoke. Crews from multiple counties responded. Officials believe it all started when a combine harvester exploded, igniting the dry crops around it. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. Well, the CDC says the number of Americans who've died from lung injuries brought on by vaping continues to grow. Injuries on the rise, too. The number of Americans is over 1,000. That includes a 16-year-old from Wisconsin. Hillary Lane has the story.
Logan Cran limped as he walked to the microphone at American Family Children's Hospital in Madison, Wisconsin. Doctors say the 16-year-old is still weak and recovering from an acute case of chemical pneumonitis brought on by vaping. Those are his lungs on the right compared to healthy lungs on the left.
My lungs kept filling up with fluids and became so severely inflamed that I couldn't breathe on my own.
There are now 1,080 lung injury cases associated with e-cigarette use or vaping, according to the CDC. That's up 275 cases from last week. Deaths have also gone up from 12 to 18. Researchers say the increase is partially due to more widespread reporting from doctors who are still learning about what vaping can do.
It's highly likely that many cases we diagnosed as pneumonia in the past without a clear cause may have been related to vaping.
On Wednesday, the Mayo Clinic reported there was no evidence of vaping injuries brought on by fatty substances such as mineral oil. Instead, researchers say injuries are most likely caused by noxious chemical fumes. Cran's doctor says seeing this in the lungs of children is unusual.
Usually after some sort of an accident where they had inhaled toxic vapors, so from fires and other things like that. We occasionally would see it from children who would drink or inhale oil.
Cran says he came close to dying and has done permanent damage to his lungs.
While quitting might seem rather difficult, going through this is far worse.
He knows he has a long recovery ahead of him. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
CDC officials say they can point to no one product behind the injuries and deaths. They say all the patients vaped either THC or nicotine or both. They're also looking into the black market sales of these products. Well, a new warning tonight from the state's attorney general's office. Officials say a Kentucky woman fell victim to a phone scam, losing around $30,000. The scammers told her that her Social Security number would be suspended if she didn't pay up. Law enforcement officials say the federal government will never suspend your Social Security number or demand you wire money over the phone. If you believe you are being scammed, hang up the phone call and call your local law enforcement. Well, one man was arrested on Wednesday for jumping in front of cars in London. Police say Wednesday they got the call from drivers on U.S. Highway 25 in London describing the man in the roadway. Deputies arrested James Horton, who was found with the 2 knives and a clown mask on him at the time.
Oh, you don't hear people running, jumping out at the cars or nothing like that, right in the broad daylight. It's just something very unusual.
Police told WYMT shortly after 4 this evening Horton was back in jail for similar circumstances and was charged with disorderly conduct. Well, the city of Hazard is cracking down on property owners. Today, a work crew cleaned up a property on the side of Route 15. City officials are issuing notices to buildings not up to code. Some of these buildings have been under violation for years. They recently tore down a building on Memorial Drive. Owners ignored this citation on the property. Commissioner Susan Brotherton says they are doing everything they can to clean the city up.
If they can't or they don't get it cleaned up, as a city, we will come clean up this property, but you get a bill. It's not for free. It's not a free service.
Brotherton says they are trying to make the city more welcoming for new businesses. Well, new at 11, UPS is making a massive investment in Louisville. Today, the shipping company announced new construction projects totaling $750 million. Those projects are expected to create 1,000 new jobs. Governor Bevin was at today's announcement. He says this will only help the city's economy.
This was something that was competitive among multiple places around the country. And as a company, I'm grateful, truly grateful to UPS for having made this decision, because I do believe our best years are yet ahead of us.
UPS says they plan to build a hangar big enough to house 2 747EF aircrafts by 2020. Those are the largest in its fleet. Well, Broken Throne Brewing is opening its doors this weekend for a sneak peek of the new microbrewery on Pikeville's Main Street. The 12-tap establishment will offer a variety of brews. Those will change throughout the weeks, keeping things experimental. Those involved with the new venture say it is a way to bring in a different experience to Pikeville, helping to contribute to the city's mission of becoming a tourist destination.
So what we've really kind of brought together here is this place where you can kind of lounge around, relax a little bit. It's not that stuffy, uptight type of feel that you may get from some places in larger cities. We want this to be a community place and another place for gathering in the area.
After the sneak peek this weekend, a ticketed soft opening will take place October 17th through the 19th. Broken Throne will officially open October 24th. You can find out more on the company's Facebook page. Well, Buckhorn Lake State Resort Park is teaming up with many community partners to host a first-of-its-kind event at the park this weekend. Float the Horn is an event this Saturday at the park. You can experience canoeing, pontoon rides, music, and dinner. The event is raising money for playground equipment for the lower shelter at the park. Chris Fugit, the park manager, says hosting events like this are one way to attract people to the area.
We decided we want to try this kayak float, just to get people outside and to get people coming back to our park again.
The registration fee for the event is $30. The Perry County McDonald's on Combs Road in Hazard broke a drive-through record this morning. From 7:30 until 8:30, McDonald's held a fundraiser for the Perry Central football team. Our very own Steve Hensley was at the drive-through line this morning. Always makes it about him. They donated $2 to the team for each customer who came by to grab some breakfast.
If we push through 200 cars between 7:30 to 8:30, for every car we was donating $2 to the football team. If we did over 250, we was donating $3. So between that hour, we pushed through 229 cars.
The total amount raised for Perry Central football was $458. Thanks, Steve. Well, coming up at 11, dozens of paratroopers were injured in a training accident, what military officials are saying. And a massive iceberg breaks off in Antarctica.
And a cold front moves in tonight, which means fall-like temperatures return for your Friday. I'll have those details coming up.